In May 2013, heads of state gathered at the headquarters of the African Union here in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, for the 50th anniversary of the formation of the African Union. They signed the 50th anniversary Solemn Declaration, a Pan-African vision that works towards an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa, driven by its own citizens and representing a dynamic force in the international arena. Agenda 2063 maps a 50-year trajectory from 2013 to 2063 and includes implementation plans, flagship programs, and aspirations on how the continent intends to achieve this vision. There are 7 aspirations, which reflect a desire for shared prosperity and well-being, for unity and integration, for a continent of free citizens and expanded horizons where the full potential of women and youth are realized, and with the freedom from fear, disease, and want. The All Africa Conference of Churches is the largest association of Protestant, Anglican, Orthodox, and Indigenous churches in Africa and is a member of the worldwide ecumenical network that accounts for over 200 million Christians across the continent. Like many other organizations working closely with the African Union, it has a unique role in making Agenda 2063 a reality. As part of its project to advocate for human dignity and justice on the continent, it is collecting testimonials asking Africans about Agenda 2063 and whether it represents the true aspirations and needs of the African people. Today, we speak to Africans from across the continent about what they think about Aspirations 3 and 4 in particular. Aspiration 3 focuses on an Africa of good governance, democracy, respect for human rights, justice, and the rule of law. Aspiration 4 on a peaceful and secure Africa. Join us as we ask Africans about their future hopes for the continent.
First of all, I'd like to see an African continent that is safe, peaceful, and is able to utilize the God-given resources to the benefit of the people. Essentially, nobody brought these mineral resources into the world. We met them, and for whatever reasons God has located them in Africa, we must have some kind of control and be able to use them for the benefit of the people. There is no point having natural resources that is of no benefit to the people. And of course, taking care of the environment. And so, essentially, we're talking about impact on the populace.
Of course, my vision for Africa is a more peaceful Africa, an Africa where the different communities, whether they are ethnic communities or religious communities, with all the diversity that we have in Africa, that people will be able to peacefully coexist. And when there is conflict, we should be able to address the conflict before it reaches levels that are devastating, so that we can save lives, we can save human lives, and also destruction of our development. This is the kind of Africa I'm looking forward to. An Africa whereby there will be harmonious coexistence between the different communities that live in Africa. An Africa where the basic needs of the people will be met. An Africa where we shall be able to avoid those factors that lead to conflict among the people. One of them being the equitable distribution of resources, because this is one of the causes of conflict in Africa, and whereby we shall have leaders who have the interest of the people at heart. This is the kind of Africa that I envision.
Well, I'm very positive about it, but our leaders have to take charge of our country, especially our natural resources, which are plenty, and that should be taken care of by ourselves, by our own people. So far, the natural resources are mined by outsiders and taken away, and that is the reason we are in this situation. And we are asking for funding all the time, because the companies who come out and they take away the resources and then sell back to us again. And I hope our leaders understand this and take care of that.
Africa's future is quite bright. Even as we come together as one people, recognize that we've passed through a difficult past and we are looking forward to a brighter future. Africa is well endowed with natural resources and skilled manpower, especially the youth population. I think with the youth population and the resources we have, good governance is what is needed for us to move forward. And I think these conferences that we are holding now is helping to transmit good governance to the younger generation.
Well, Lots of challenges, but one of the greatest things about the future and our potential is this demographic dividend. The fact that 70% of the African population is under 30, and many countries it's even larger. And the ability to harness the passion and power of that population is Africa's secret ingredient. A big challenge in harmonizing this huge diversity of language and culture is quite a challenge, but it's education, it's media, and a proper combining of those to focus people on the most important things, which is food security, physical safety. In my experience, I've been to 63 countries in the world, 27 African countries. I'm halfway through Africa. Out of all that, I see a lot of we have in common and a lot is different. 4 things everybody wants. Everybody wants to be safe and secure at home. They want to be able to clothe and feed their families. They want to be productive members of society and have a career or a job that contributes to the society. And they want their children to have a better life than they did. Everybody in the world wants those 4 things. In my opinion, it's the responsibility of governments to deliver at least those 4 things. One other point I want to talk about is I delivered a peace proposal to the United Nations in January. One of it focuses on the need for continuing learning by our leaders of the future. How do you legislate the future? Artificial intelligence, blockchain, AI, there's all kinds of things that are changing quickly. And when you have a parliament where only a small percentage understand what they're voting on, that's going to be a problem. So educating, continuing education for legislators or members of parliament is a necessity.
I think that Africa is where the whole world is looking up to. It is a continent full of youth, full of potential, and a lot of resources. Coming together and bringing on board the role of chiefs and religious leaders is the key way to be able to see Africa fulfill its dreams. For instance, our ability to make sure that we are able to move freely to each other countries is a step towards bringing about economic prosperity. It's bringing about togetherness. It's to see each other as one. For instance, anytime there's conflict or any issue or disaster across the world, the people you normally see who comes to resolve these problems are usually chiefs and religious leaders. As we are here today, our role is to see what we can do to see each other as one and the same. And I think that this reality will surely come by 2063.
So as someone serving in the faith circle, and also as someone who is a women's rights advocate, I hope and long to see an Africa in which women's rights are respected and they thrive to the best of their potential to meet their destiny. I see it in 2 ways. I see both the practical and strategic needs of women are met. When I say practical, the immediate needs of women, where the sanitation, health, education, and other basic needs are met. And when I say strategic, where the policies that are in place and ratified by countries will be implemented at the benefit of women.
I would like to see a continent without any hunger. I know in Africa at the moment we have a lot of people who are suffering from hunger. And I believe if we put together our effort and our resources, we are able to eradicate or to lessen the problem of hunger in Africa. And I would like to encourage the Africans to try to go in their local areas and see whatever is there. Like I have seen in most of African land, we have resources like water. There are water which are down there. If we can tap it, we can start agriculture activities which we can cultivate a lot of variety of stuff which we need for food. And I think that is my plea to Africans, to try to use whatever is near to them, whatever is closer to them, to make sure that we make sure Africa will have enough food.
I look forward to an Africa as a continent which is peaceful, which people are prospered. That is, each person has basic needs like food, like education, like shelter, and like medical support and medical facilities.
My dream, the Africa I want to see, is a united Africa, an Africa where its wealth, its resources work for the good of the continent. I would like to see an Africa where we have value addition to our natural resources. We need to make sure that the guns are silenced. That is a desire and dream that I have. We need to see the levels of poverty. Yes, Jesus said, the poor you will have, but he did not say you must have. So we need to see a very, very concrete and tangible action towards poverty reduction, issues of corruption, issues of greed, and all these regional ethnicities that tend to divide us, broken down. An Africa where it will be easy to move from Cape to Cairo without any visa. An Africa that is united. That, for me, will be very critical. United States of Africa wouldn't be too much to dream about. I'd love to see that. I'd like to see an Africa that comes to the table as a respected entity. Currently, we are begging. We seem not to know where we're heading to. We need to come to the table unified, clear in terms of where we want to be economically, politically, socially, in the geopolitics of the world. We need to go to that table as a respected entity, but united, because really other players have managed to divide us, and so we compete against each other. But I would love to see an Africa at global stage that has one agenda, actualizing the 2063 agenda for the vision for Africa, an Africa that is very united, an Africa that has become a battleground for the different powers, or like we have a repeat almost of the Cold War scenarios. I'd like to see an Africa where we have zero tolerance for any external forces that tend to make us a playground for their weapons and other things that the geopolitics that are going on. Would like to see an Africa very credible, very sustainable, an Africa that has dignity and in the real sense of the word.
I want to see political stability. I want to see an economy, a very good economy, where we'll be able to drive away poverty, everybody living a life that is below the average poverty line. I want to see an Africa where we can have a good systems for women, equal rights and opportunities for women and girls. And I want to see an Africa that is free from political instability. Like the wars that are going around Africa, it's not good. I want to see an Africa that will have a very good governance system and structure that operates for the benefit of the citizens.
So I see a very productive, wealthy continent that is benefiting from the resources, the natural resources, and the human capital that exists within this continent. We normally complain about population, but that population is actually a resource when harnessed properly. So my biggest aspiration is that we see a continent that is very productive, wealthy, healthy, and where people are happy and really satisfied with their lives. Africa gives me hope. It gives me hope because 60%, 65% of the African population is youthful. And we can even go deeper and see 48%, according to various reports, are people under the age of 18. And for me, I see that as a very luminous future for Africa, because I see this not just as a demographic dividend, but I see this as a workforce that we can get to the global stage. I see this as a market, and I see this as the anchor of the Africa, continental free trade area. And so I see the future of Africa being very bright. However, we need to fix some of the challenges that we do have in Africa, be it governance issues, be it silencing the gun, and making sure issues of conflict, issues of climate, and things that affect Africa are being taken into perspective. Because look, we are only 274 weeks to achieving the SDG 2030, and we are 2024 weeks to achieving Agenda 2063. So when you put this time frame in terms of week, it looks like a very short period of time, and therefore this demands for action that looks to putting Africa's development trajectory into perspective.
When we go back to our various communities, we need to talk to our peers. We need to take ownership and lead the change agenda. That is the way we can get things done. We need to build our capacity so that when we get onto the table, we can be able to meaningfully contribute to development, meaningfully contribute to the Africa we want. That is what we are all striving for.
We've heard from people across the continent, from Ethiopia to Ghana, Cameroon, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Congo, and many more. And as we conclude this part of the conversation, it's evident that Africans from diverse backgrounds share a common vision for the continent's future, one that is peaceful and prosperous and playing a pivotal role on the global stage. Agenda 2063 serves as a guiding light, outlining a path toward a more integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa. It's crucial to ensure that these aspirations align with the true needs and hopes of the African people. The voices we heard contribute to the ongoing dialogue about Africa's future and the work toward building a continent that reflects the hopes and aspirations of its people. Thank you for being part of this important conversation.